6 p.m. Welcome you to our work session. I think on the board out there just said a meeting. It didn't say work session. So, but anyway, we want to talk about first the EDA sewer lift station grant application.
We have a letter from the Council of Governments certifying the no application fee and the grant administration cost will not exceed $25,000, which is to look at. And it's signed by the executive director. Everybody have a...
Johnny Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Johnny Brown has been the executive director since 1977. So I take him at his word. I don't know him to be one that would go back on something he's agreed to. The application is in development, and it's for the Joe Louis station, for the Verizon/Alltel station, for the old treatment plant station, and for the Hampton Street station, which is behind Grove Hill. Once we have final application and the information in, we will provide you with a copy.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it. Okay. So that won't be all five of them, was it? That's just saying do it
It's just, it's four.
Why not five? Why not
It's
all
not
five?
connected, it's not connected. Allen Street is not connected.
Allen Street is not connected.
It's four. It's Hampton, the old treatment plant on Old Farms Highway, which is 6th Street, the Joe Louis station, and the Verizon/Alltel. Some people call it Alltel, some people call it Verizon. I call it Verizon because it's Verizon now. I don't think it makes any sense to call it Alltel since Alltel's been out of business for a while. So, application is...
what's the other one? I got Joe Louis, Verizon, Hampton,
Grove Hill. Or some people call it Hampton Street. Depends on your market. Technically, it's Grove Hill, I think, because I don't even think it's behind Hampton Street. It's behind the Grove Hill Cemetery.
The cemetery, stuff like that.
It's on East Broad and South Worley come together. That hard curve is behind that cemetery.
Yeah, that's
down the hill, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so and what's the Hampton? What's Hampton?
That's what I'm saying. Some people call it the Hampton Street well, but it's really behind Grove Hill Cemetery.
Okay, so what's the, I just got three there. I got Joe Louis, Verizon, and Grove Hill.
And the old treatment plant on Old Farms Highway, 6th Street, which is it's behind the Diamond Hill headquarters on the left, down that dirt road. There's the old railroad bed. You go up and you take a left.
That one you call Bourne Street, the one in that section?
No. This is, you turn off of East Broad, you're on 6th Street. Here's the old Diamond Hill warehouse. Here's the Diamond Hill office. Go past the old railroad bed.
Down to the left.
To the left.
Okay.
Everybody got an idea what that is?
I know what that is. What did you call it?
It's our old treatment plant, but now it's our largest lift station. From 1950 through 1982, it was our treatment plant. We built a new treatment plant on Society Hill Road in 82, that became a treatment plant. So we moved everything from the old treatment plant out to Society Hill.
So if I go down Broad Street and pass Diamond Hill, can I make that right?
Right.
Make the right.
And then you go past the railroad bed, it's going to be up the hill slightly on your left. That's it. Now, a good example of that is in between the two cemeteries. It's in between Darlington Memorial Cemetery and Grove Hill.
I got you. I know where it is.
Okay. So, when they gonna submit this for,
Middle of October.
so if they don't get this grant, they're trying to tie 4 lift stations together. If they don't get this grant, then where's that gonna leave us?
Well, I prefer to be an optimist and say when we get this grant and get these facilities fixed, it will put us in a much better situation than we are currently. As I said at the council meeting, any EDA application that I've been involved with has never failed. I again play, like I told you, I knew Bonnie Ammons, who's the REA director, I've known her for 20 years. I've known the EDA director for 9 states. Her name is Robin Cooley. I've known her for a dozen years. I'll pull every string and use every trick I know to get that grant done. just like I did for Southwest Darlington stormwater.
Okay. The question is, if we don't get this grant, still, where do we stand in? What is our options then of applying for a grant? When and what?
Well, it depends on the will of the council when we have our budget workshops next spring.
So it'll be spring, we can apply again for a grant, that's what I'm
Yes,
asking.
ma'am. Yes.
Is that you say in March? In March?
It would have to be RIO or CDBG. Or we could reapply for EDA, but the EDA regular grants are 50-50. This is an 80-20 grant.
The one that's 80-20.
The one we're putting in for today.
For 80-20?
Yes.
How would some of the reasons for that is that what we were told as a criteria for this grant based on the hurricane, and right now Darlington doesn't look like it gets much assistance from the hurricane because we haven't been disaster, but I know, but our stations have been in bad shape for a little while, so that's the concern, that there may be some reason that we don't get it because of the hurricane. I mean, the reason for this grant, I mean, from being in the meeting, that's what it was based on, that this grant was tied into damages.
Number 4, I'll be willing to discuss later. We're on number 2 now, but I'll discuss in number 4 in a few minutes.
Yeah. But I was just saying the EDA grant, it was.
I don't think it had anything to do with the hurricane. This is economic development.
Previous hurricane, that's
No, this is
Yeah,
not
previous hurricane. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about, yeah, that's what they said in the meeting. I mean, that's the reason for all of this. The 80-20 and all that kind of good stuff. And the fact that we would have a lot of money. So I'm just saying, there is a question. I mean, there is criteria for us to meet, and I'm just throwing it out now, not later.
The COG brought this grant opportunity to us, and we would not have known about it otherwise.
We're in a position now where we're applying for this grant. All we can do is apply for the grant, hope for the best, do the best we can, and deal with the outfall if it doesn't come our way.
But I think her question is, and I want to get clarity on her question, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think her question is that in order for us to get this EDA grant, that Darlington has to be declared a disaster area. Is that what you're asking? And we have not been declared?
But it's based on the past.
We've got a hand raised. We've got a hand raised.
I was at the same meeting Ms. Reed and Mr. Garland were at, where they spoke with the COG representatives about it. The reason the EDA grant was open so that it was not attached to jobs was related to Hurricane Matthew, which were declared a disaster area during that time. And so that is how we are fitting into this, the criteria to be going towards that.
If we just Google it, the EDA, it's 3 specific hurricanes that it applies for. And it has to be during the year 2017. It's actually on one. And Matthew's not one of them.
Oh, I knew there was a reason, but I didn't remember all that. So. But anyway,
It's on the EDA
we're moving it.
website.
All I'm doing is raising questions, as I always do, beforehand. Not after.
So
That was my thing.
So someone at the COG presented you with an opportunity, Mr. Garland, for the city of Darlington to apply for an EDA grant that we don't qualify for? That makes no sense. Why would they give you information that they would know that?
I would trust the EDA rep, Robin Cooley, and I would trust the folks at the COG and what they've told me. I don't know, but Clay Young, who was administrator of Dillon County and Kershaw County, has been in government 28 years, or Robin Cooley, who has worked with EDA for the last dozen years and previously worked at the Central Carolina Central Council of Government's office in Columbia. She's never led me wrong.
Good enough. And they said that we would qualify.
They told us about the money they said to put in for it, that we met the criteria.
But I mean, you keep saying it, and like they told you specific, but that was the basis at the meeting. They told everybody that. I mean, they was announcing about that we got
He
this
just said that,
money.
you told him we met the criteria. Is that what you just not said?
Yeah, that's
just
what they
said
told me.
After the meeting, they specifically met with us individually and talked to us about it.
Yeah.
And
We
said
met
that
the
we
criteria.
would,
Yeah.
that we should put in for this because we will get this money.
Okay, well then that's good enough for me. That's it. That's good. We need it.
City manager contract conditions, that's a council issue.
For me, I guess I'm going to begin to tell you what my concerns were, but even asking for a work session regarding the contract. But since we have already voted to extend that, well, I wanted a new contract. I wanted this council to form our own, you know, not just extend something that hadn't been in practice for several years. So, and since we've already voted to extend that, this would only, I would like to be able to just talk about some of the, develop a job description. If that's, because obviously there's nothing we can do about the contract since that's already been voted on to extend that. And I just have, out of that, when we were discussing or trying to get this set up for the work session, I threw out some things that I would like to see as far as the administration of the city. And I was some of the comments from other council members was that that's something the council can do. And one of those things, so I don't think that comes under this, we can develop a job description. We definitely need something since we do not have it. But what I would like, and I would like for us to consider, that we somehow develop an HR department. It is imperative to me that we have that, that we begin to look at that as, that would be where the city manager could, that would just be another department that he would have to be, but there have to be this on hand. And we can get some of the programs that employees and employers kind of deal with in other businesses, entities, I should just go ahead and say, government agencies. I've talked with others that do have HR departments, other cities that they have our form of government, not in our area, and how that functions. We'd like for us to kind of consider that, because one of the major things that I would like to see is our grievance committee, actually functioning. He said it was established, but functioning, because I don't know whether any of you all get a chance to do that, but I get a lot of calls that I think needs to be, handled professionally and not just at mercy of somebody, and have a policies and things set up so that we can work through solutions. I simply think that is in this day and age that would be a way to go. Don't want to belabor it, but at this point, it's just a job description that we would like to have all of council's input, and so that we can have a true job description.
That would help out a whole lot. I would like to see it on the job description, because I think there's some people that when they are hired, they don't have the qualifications to meet the job. And I think that puts a little stress on things.
We're still talking about the city manager's position.
Yeah, about the city manager's contract conditions, yeah.
So as I said, there's no more we can do about the contract. We voted to extend that, so there's nothing we can do with that. it's a done deal.
I also think we need to get, we need an engineer. We spend half the time, myself, several council members, running around doing the storm, looking for catch basins, finding catch basins, calling back saying this one is stopped up, this one is stopped up. Nobody knows which ones has been serviced, haven't been serviced, where they running at, where the water run at. The whole thing was a mess. We spent walking in water trying to see which one is not draining, and we asking, well, where's the catch basins, or who know where the catch, nobody know where the catch basins at, or the drain lines at, or which way the water is running. I mean, we pay Davidson Brown a fortune, and we don't even know where the water run at. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. We out walking in the water. Council people out walking in the water because we don't know where the drain lines are draining. We call it back and say, oh, this catch basin needs cleaning out. This one needs cleaning out. That's ridiculous.
Now the one on Chestnut Street, as soon as they cleaned it out, now the vac truck I did is doing an excellent job.
It is.
The vac truck on South Main Street, all that water used to catch it for the hardest. I mean, I've never seen it that dry, you know, before in my 32 years. But I mean, you know, longer than that. But anyway, that downpour rain that came that day when the vac truck came down Chestnut Street and they sucked it up and the truck was full and they went and dumped it. When that downpour came, the water stick, you couldn't even find the catch basin. And I think they were down there trying to clean it out, but I think on the other end, they don't know whether the water was going back that way or whether it was going that way. They didn't know where it was going. I think they can kind of locate some things so we won't have that problem anymore. And I mean, I think they need to get mapped out of all the catch basins in the city so we'll know which ones, you know, and where they're going. I think that would be a good thing in that department.
I think that was the intent when we brought the vac truck, was to start servicing catch basins throughout the city, but we're going to have to go and think of what month. You can't fix 100 years problem in
5 weeks.
5 weeks. And the street department is aware of situations you were talking about, and as they can get to those areas, they'll be working on them and doing what they can for them. You can't do it overnight.
It's not do it being overnight. The problem is he don't even know which way they're going.
Well, until you clean them out.
They clean Chestnut Street out, they clean Jessamine Street out, they still don't know which way the water going. The water rained again, water sat right there in Chestnut Street again. They still have no idea which way the water going.
Well, it's not going either way.
So it needs to be, there should be a map of what.
Yeah, but nobody's developed a map over the last 50 years. So what we're doing is we now have the equipment that can be utilized to work on these problems. I would think that a mapping system for where we are would be something that we could compile. Howard, do we have certain mapping systems that we currently have in place that we can begin to develop a citywide mapping system with?
Any software? That's what I would like.
We have a system which is, for lack of a better name, is just called WTF. It's the name of the company. And we use them to map and do overlays for our codes department.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And we do work with the fire department. I don't think they do so much in the water department, but do we need some type of updated software for that? Yes, we do. But if you, and again, this is more budget work session items, but if you, well, no, it's good. I mean, this is why you have a work session. You don't go strictly by the agenda, you open it up.
Yeah, right.
But if you're going to hire an engineer, well, what about software? Software may be just as expensive as the engineer. And talk with the local company who just hired somebody out of Clemson. Starting salary $75,000 plus benefits. Starting salary. And they don't even have certifications yet. They're just working as more or less an apprentice.
And that's where Hartsville Florence or what? Where is that?
That's in Camden.
That's in Camden. Check Hartsville.
I don't know if Hartsville. Hartsel has they did have an engineer, but when they did away with their stormwater program, they fired that fellow and he went to work for another engineering company. So they had an engineer in place for 6 years, but once they found out where they weren't going to have to be a part of MS4, they did away the stormwater fee, and they tried to make the fellow work within the water sewer system. He didn't like it, they didn't like it, so they mutually agreed to part ways. The thing that makes the most sense from a staffing standpoint is if you're going to get somebody like that, it's got to be for a very limited amount of time. And by that I mean 3 to 5 years, no more. Someone that would come in, and this is not, from my opinion, it's not going to be an engineer that's going to actually do the physical work. It's going to be someone that's going to help the mapping. And it's not just mapping catch basins. It's helping, working with DOT, because a lot of these are DOT roads. Now we can sit there and talk about them all we want to, but a DOT is not going to fix, not so much the catch basins, but how they drain on Chestnut or Jessamine. You're really not going to get anywhere. So that's the issue, is having somebody that interfaces well with SCDOT to address their stormwater system, because the majority of the stormwater system in this city is SCDOT.
Have you ever met with them about what's going on in the city to get them to see what?
We've spoken with them at different times, and we tried to get up with them during the hurricane, but all we did was play phone tag. I mean, they were working 12-hour shifts. They were busier than we were. They had multiple streets blocked off. They just said it's going to have to wait till they come down and off this emergency situation they're on. I always say, and I know we remember the meeting we had over there in Florence where all we did was complain about DOT. Well, that's just meant for like inside municipal government. I don't like to trash those folks too much publicly because we depend on them too much. In 2016, they picked up 90% of our storm debris and didn't charge us a penny. They have, to my Hurricane Matthew. Yeah. Okay. So they have many things that they can do for you if you don't go over the line with them. I mean, it's one thing to go and shut the door to them and talk to them, but it's another thing to specifically call out the district office or individual employees. And I get as upset as anybody else does about that, but I think they have some of the same issues that we do. They're short on money, they're short on staff, they have to prioritize. And I've heard that at the county level, I've heard that at the district level, I've heard that from the folks in Columbia. And the district office is not only responsible for Darlington County, but it's also got Horry County. And that's where the bulk of their funding goes, is for all those construction projects in Horry County.
This has been covered several weeks ago. I was talking with the construction crew for the Southwest Stormwater Company. When they had that, before they were in the midst of trying to get across Pearl Street. But when I was talking to them, when they hit that big water line, they could not stop it. So we talked extensively then. And what they were saying, that they didn't have no clue that there was nobody to even guide them as to how to get across, because they didn't have no reference. And I just thought that was something we need to do. And what they were doing, what he says, as we are doing, we are drawing things up now. We are mapping this out as to what we're seeing in now. And we'll just pass that along. He said, but we don't have anything to go by. So I just thought it was good, just saying. And we may have a different group working on other projects. So these things need to be coordinated. That's what I'm saying. If we're starting to map and find out how these systems work, it needs to be, we need to go forward here and do whatever we say and not sit back, because evidently that's an extremely critical a part of the growth of Darlington. If we get, if we get that situation worked out with this mapping system to know where your water lines and things are.
I think the point that Councilwoman Backus raised is a great one. hiring an entry or junior, fresh out engineer, especially a civil engineer, I think is critical to where the city is at this particular point in time. If you're hiring someone who's trained and disciplined and degree as a civil engineer, they can do cost estimates for you in terms of your capital improvement projects. That skill set should be resident and inside. They can do on-site constructions, inspections to make sure that the construction projects are progressing on schedule. They can help the city manager in terms of managing the construction costs if that skill set is in-house. They also are trained on mapping systems, GPS systems. Before they leave with a degree in civil engineering, they know how to locate, map all your underground utility system. That's critical because if we have a break, we're wasting valuable time. We got businesses, we got residents that's out of water. We put ourselves at risk, really. So that person would have the skills to know how to cost out a mapping system. They are trained and disciplined in terms of how to come up with comprehensive maintenance plans, for an example. If you take the stormwater, we should be starting from the lowest point and cleaning upward. If you start from the high point and clean downward, we're making the problem worse. So a degree engineer would be trained in theory. They would know how to design stormwater systems. They would know how to design sanitary sewer systems. They can work and help with the engineering firms that the city hire to make sure that everything is properly bidded, properly managed. That's a critical skill that we need. And I don't know if this is the right form or it's the budget form, but I think it's something that the council really should consider in terms of what's the next critical skill set needed.
I would like to say what you said, Howard, this company, WTF, is the company that you refer to for mapping. If they, whatever is being identified by this, the project now, these guys that's on there now, is that feasible to put them together?
I don't know that. I have to talk to Alex or Sheila about that. They use that software more than anyone.
Okay.
And our stormwater master plan, does that include all the stuff, you know, within the center of the city, as far as our piping?
I'd have to look at it. I mean, I'm not going to
Yeah.
sit here and tell you that it does because I don't have it in front of me and it's this thick.
Yeah.
That's a loaded question.
I'm not trying to be a loaded question.
I think, look, just as an example, since I've been obsessing over this street for the last 10 days, Shoshone Drive, that's probably the lowest point in the street. And every house on that street that was down the hill flooded, and flooded extensively. So what do we do for that street? What do we do for Kankakee Lane? What do we do for Circle Drive? What do we do for, is it Oak View and those folks? Because when the county called, when the citizen called me Monday night and said that the deputy said we needed to evacuate because the dam is going to overtop at Sunoco, and I'm like, what? We didn't know anything about it. We didn't have a plan in place. Sunoco's never met with us. DOT's never met with us. What were we supposed to do other than run around with our heads cut off? And let me tell you, it was a drill for about 6 hours in futility before we could actually figure out what would flood and what wouldn't flood. Because by that morning, and we met with y'all, I think we met with y'all 3 times that day, we finally figured out what would flow and what would not flow. And I think Mr. Billings, since he lives there, gave us an idea, and you gave us an idea too, about the creek floods. Well, we had never, since that Oakdale was built in the early 60s, nobody had that problem put to them before. So that's brand new for everybody at this table, is how to deal with that. And it's not Swift Creek, it's Black Creek. And that's another issue that we have to talk about. We desperately need to meet with the county and with the other municipalities to work on better communication between these entities. Sunoco did not contact us at any time to let us know what was happening before, during, or after this event. And they didn't let the folks in the Palmetto Fire District know what was going on either. And that's frankly in the entire county, that's the area that flooded more than anywhere else. They had to do multiple boat rescues in that area. So.
What area now?
The Palmetto Fire District.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the low point they share with Florence County there.
Oh, you mean out that way?
Yeah, so that they have issues, and by the way, part of the country club is represented by Palmetto Fire District.
Right. So when you say Sunoco need to, I mean, is that's something they're supposed to do? I mean, tell me how Sunoco, the business, get to be notifies about any weather condition.
Because they own that dam.
Not the
dam.
weather condition, the dam.
Okay, I know about the dam, but they did let somebody know, because that's how it got out. I mean, it's this. Tell me, I'm trying to.
I think it's a call from a citizen.
Yeah,
They
a citizen
called a
called
citizen.
me and said a deputy told them they needed to evacuate. And the citizens calling me at home. I'm eating supper about 7:30.
Okay, so
What?
what you're saying is Darlington City citizen called you and said
Yes.
somebody else told them that they need to get,
So then
and
I
that
called-
Darlington didn't know anything
I
about
called
it.
Senator
Okay.
Malloy. Malloy said,
Yeah.
Malloy's the one that gave us the order, the directive to get up there. It wasn't the county administrator, it wasn't the sheriff.
Right.
It was like Gerald Malloy said, y'all need to get up here, like in 10 minutes.
Right.
They told us that dam was going to overtop after midnight and that we would have a significant water event within the next 12 to 24 hours. They went door to door in North Hartsville, the Alphabet Streets, and evacuated dozens of homes.
Yeah. But now that was before before you talked to the senator.
No, this all happened after.
After, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get it. I don't want to.
I guess we need to
Yeah, like they
because it was coming this way.
swindled us.
If it was staying in Hartsville, it would have been different. But
SNOCA has an emergency actions plan. It's online, and it says exactly who they have to notify and when they have to notify. It's right here online. You can look it up. It says emergency management, which I'm assuming would be the county and not the cities. But you have to read for what it's for. But it's all written exactly what they have to do, when they have to do it, and who they have to notify.
But I'm assuming if something started in Hartsville, I mean, if it's just to stay at Hartsville, they would have to notify us. But if it's coming our way into Darlington, they should notify us.
Well, if think about this, if you're in a position of authority and you find out from a citizen, an elderly citizen at that,
I know it.
whose neighbor called her out of just courtesy because she's concerned, and I mean, you know, well, what do you do? Other than try to confirm it. That's what I did.
Yeah, okay.
Well, what Shoshone is, there's not a fix down there, because that's a floodplain, and it's gonna flood.
Agreed. I think the best fix for them is to put it on stilts.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do if you're gonna live down that hill on Shoshone, is put that house or home on stilts.
All the other areas that he just mentioned, if you're over there, are just like Jessamine and Chestnut. They need to be cleaned out, and then once we get everything cleaned out, we'll see what we're left with, and then what we need to fix from there. But we've got, I think we have a general idea of where our pipes are. You know, for the city that's on the hill, we'll just say. But the other areas out there, we really don't have any clue. So we need to. You bring up valid points that I would agree with. We need to have a good perspective and a good visual of what systems we have, even if we do it area by area. We may not be able to afford to map everything, but it needs to be something we build up.
I want to get us a course of action for dealing with Sunoco and the dam. Do it so now we be added to whatever to be notified. I mean, what do we? Because I'm getting from what you were saying.
Yeah, I think that's above Howard's pay grade. And what I would say is,
Wait a minute.
Oh, I've got an idea on this.
Yeah,
I've got an idea.
yeah, all I'm saying is that he brought it in, by him bringing it up, it's like, we need to do something with it. I mean, it's just like we are being slighted.
Well,
And I
we
don't
are.
want to be slighted.
Ms. Councilwoman Reed, it says that they are to notify the county emergency management and DHEC. And then from there, the county's emergency management, that's their responsibility to notify you. So that's how the diagram is out. It's the two people they have to notify is DHEC and the county.
So we might
So
need
you
to
might
get
need to
the
coordinate
county.
with the county to get put on a list.
So I appreciate that. So now I know that's within your pay grade.
Well, what's within your pay grade is to go to your peer with the county and say,
All
we
right.
had some issues during this last hurricane. We want to meet all the councils and staff to go over what we do when something really bad happens. If that storm moves 30 miles south, we are not meeting tonight. We're still have multiple incursions of water in houses around here. Yeah, so
I have no problem with
So,
that.
if we go to council,
county council.
sit down and talk to county council, and if you and the city administrator, the county administrator is not on good speaking terms, that's not gonna make him call you.
But that's beside the point, because based on what their website said, they are to contact two people, the county and DHEC. So they didn't follow, and so if they contact the county, and the county, they did.
Yeah,
Nobody from the county contacted us.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
that's the breakdown.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm saying.
regardless of what the relationship is, the county didn't do their part.
But
That's
he
what I
telling
just
us how to
said.
straighten it out,
I'm
right?
just
That's
saying,
what
even if we go
Howard
to
and,
them,
that's what Howard and Chief Washington tried to tell us in that
In the
meeting.
meeting.
That's right.
They said the same
He
thing.
said the same thing. I got it.
and my point is,
And
the
there's-
same thing.
It's not
Yeah.
Chief Washington's first rodeo. And how many times did he say,
It was a mess at the county.
Yes, he kept saying we were more organized than the county.
and I was keeping in touch with Mayor Mel Pennington from Hartsville during this whole episode, and he was having communications issues as well, it seemed. So just, we all may need to get together as a
Why
group.
don't you write a letter formally to the county administrator, copy the county council with it, as well as city council, as well as Mayor Pennington, and just say we would like to have a meeting where we can work out some of the issues that came to light during this last event, so that everybody will be in a position to move forward in the future should unfortunately such an event occur. And just try to get something set up, and as many of us who can attend will attend. We'll just address those issues. But, you know, we can beat them around here, but until we actually sit down and everybody has a chance to say, you know, what needs to be said about getting in touch with us, because it does sound like that there was less concern by the county as to the possibilities of what could occur in Darlington from their end than there were by us as to what could happen to our citizens in Darlington.
But I feel that with the county, with what happened, we need to come together because this was a serious issue. And everybody need to be on one accord. And when something happens like this, personal things need to be set aside. And whatever it is that's going on, the reason why we couldn't come together, it needs to be rectified. I don't know whose part it's on, but it needs to be checked.
I don't know if it's a personality problem or not. This is an issue that, as Sunoco said, they have never in their wildest dreams ever thought of losing that neighbor over there. So this is new ground we're breaking here. And I think it's probably the same thing with Lake Robinson. You did not know the repercussions of them, their dam failing either. So this is a good learning experience. We dodged the bullet on it. So let's make some lemonade out of these lemons.
Yeah.
If there was anything personal. I say if there was anything personal. But I mean, anyway, regardless of what happened, we need to come together on this. Everybody needs to be notified. Because they know that water that left Hartsville had to come down.
Charles was probably overworked and on the edge. He'd been so long that he was probably wasn't thinking real clear either. So now we like you say, we got to get a plan.
Windows, I think, clear.
He's out of it. Stop.
Okay.
Let me say that.
You know what? Never mind, take it.
Yeah, it is elementary start.
The report that we got for the city manager's report for the hurricane you'll get later in the week. But something happened this afternoon, and we learned about it from Chesterfield County, not from Darlington County, that we've been declared a disaster area. We learned it from Chesterfield. So I give this to you to read.
Go slow down here.
And well, yeah,
You got my camera.
Thank you for pulling that string.
That's what I'm talking about.
so y'all can digest this with me too. I've briefly looked it over. But I called Charles Stewart about it, and he confirmed it. When were they going to let us know? Yeah.
So you got this the day that we all in the disaster plan?
And by we, is that Darlington County or Darlington
It's
City?
Darlington County. But it's just for, Charles said it's only just for emergency procedures and measures that we took before the hurricane and immediately after that period. He said there's another meeting set up for Thursday, which I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't called him, that FEMA's coming in. And let me mention this too. There was assessments that they wanted to do of our properties in the city. We had 30 minutes notice to get to a meeting to set that up Thursday. We got some stuff to work through, but anyway, you see
The chief went to that.
yes, ain't no way to run a rodeo. You see this information. Once we have this meeting Thursday, I'll have a better idea of what we need to do. I'm not making any calls on anything until that meeting Thursday. I want to hear from the FEMA people. I don't want to say trust. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Okay? So I applaud our people. I think the street department has worked the best that they ever have during this storm.
Yes, they have.
The police department was actually complaining about it in a funny way because they would put barriers up for a street that was flooded and come back and it wasn't flooded. So we all tried to do little extra things during this, cleaning out storm drains. I think from the previous issues that we've had with the flood and the hurricane, we were really prepared for this. I think I really single out Karen Carroll and James E. Morrison and Moses Jackson and Kelvin Washington, Pat Kavanaugh, Lisa Rock, Freddie Kinsall. And those were some long days and nights. And all of us shouldered a portion of that burden. I thank y'all for your input that you had during the meeting. I think that we certainly are passionate for our town, and that showed in the multiple meetings that we had during those days. I'll just leave it at that, unless y'all want to talk about it any further. I think from staff recommendations in the future, that when we do these updates during the storm, that we need to have the department heads meet and then we can meet with council. I don't think it's a good idea to mix council with staff like that anymore. I don't think we can do that because they know, they're out in the street, they know what's happening. And then I think it would be maybe the two chiefs and I would come and meet with y'all. And I would recommend that going ahead in the future. I think it just adds another level of decision making and looking at y'all and y'all looking at us. And here's what somebody told me. I think it was one of the ATF guys that was here. It's like, are you the manager? And I said, yeah. He said, well, aren't you the decision maker? I said, yeah. He said, well, what are all these people doing at this department meeting? I said, oh, yeah, that's a good point. So, in my opinion, in the future, we still have these meetings, and I still think it's important for y'all to know, like a morning midday and evening type setting, what's going on. It's just that we have to do a little different setup. I think it's also staff recommendation that we actually have a EOC for the city based on the second floor of the fire department. We also need a generator for the police department. They don't have one. They run partial power from the fire department. So they have one outlet that works in each office. We need a landline for the police department. We need a landline for the fire department, because when the computers go down during the storm, you can't dial out. And these are just things that are off the top of my brain. But look, we have real good people, and they're in places, and the problem was not in what we did, it's how we did it. And by that I mean most of the folks in this room, me included in that. We need to let our folks do their jobs. I don't need to be riding out with a hoe cleaning out storm or catch, but I mean I shouldn't be doing that. That was just crazy. Y'all can report things, but it should be reported, especially during a storm. It should, just be a very quick text if text is working. If not, we need to set up some type of system where y'all let us know what's going on. We get it back out very quickly. And the social media adds another level of anxiety to this that we haven't experienced before. I mean, we were under a great deal of pressure from the public to get word out here, there. When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And so that's something that we all need to go through, staff and council, is some type of social media training.
On the social media front and getting information out, in the future, it was kind of out of our hands because we're waiting on information from the county. But we need to stress, I think, in the county, maybe that'll be our group work session. But the getting information out that the dam's potentially going to flood, between 12 and 2, whichever line you read. And then from there, we didn't hear anything for 18 to 36 hours.
I think it was
over a day.
22 hours, I think it was.
Yeah. So we need to be able to let the citizens know, at least the next morning, hey, it didn't come over, it's 4 inches away, or whatever information we can give publicly. But make sure, I mean, today's age is 2018, everybody wants instant information. They are not used to waiting on a mailer. They want it now. So just a little bit quicker on the getting information.
Well, maybe what we ought to do is also that Howard, I'd like Howard for you to write up these various recommendations and send them out so that we can have them and review them and mull over them. But as a part of that, having Lisa use somebody designated as a communications person so that we don't have it coming from here and have it coming from here from various sources, because sometimes that causes confusion and unrest among people. So let's, have some recommendation as to a individual that will be responsible for putting those things together. I thought what Lisa did on that one that went out on that afternoon, even though it got superseded later, I thought, it pretty well logically put things out there.
No, Sunoco got mad about that. And Sunoco called the county, and the county called us. They were upset that we put out a press release. And we tried to contact the county, but they didn't want to talk to us.
Well,
so,
sometimes people just get upset, and then they realize that the reason that we had to do something was because they weren't doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but I told the county administrator, we had a meeting about that press release, and I said, my council told me to put this out. I put it out. I'm sorry. If you're upset about it, I'm sorry, but we begged you on the phone to listen to us as we read it, and you said, no. Okay, we did our job.
Well, we have certain responsibilities that exceed that which the county has. We're more worried about, you may have said that you had a family member who was notified out there in the mobile home park.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know anything about it. The county was notifying.
Pepper Ridge.
The county was notifying people.
Yeah.
But they didn't give us any information that we could utilize. So.
That was, I did want to comment a little bit about the social media thing there. And Brian, you're correct on some of that. But there are those who don't, they don't pay no attention to none of that. And a lot of my folk over, you know, they're just not in it. And they're suffering, so a traditional way of getting stuff out is what they do. They kept, those that couldn't take down power was glued to the TV. And they kept looking now, you know, to the things running at the bottom and where it was giving local information and stuff like that. And I do, even though, you know, we rely on the Facebook and all of the other apps that we got there to get things out. If we at least keep it on the traditional way, you know, local channels, so they can get to them.
We got a raised hand again.
Ms. Layton had her hand up first.
I'm sorry, Ms. Layton.
What I was gonna do was reinforce what you said, Councilman Millens. I've managed global environmental health and safety teams, emergency response team, and developed and managed crisis management teams. And we do need to have, in time, this will be considered a crisis. So based on the particular crisis, there should be a spokesperson. And what they did for us in corporate America is they provided us with media training. So they brought someone in, television station, with a mic in front of us, rolled it, taught us what to say, what not to say, how to deal with the media, so that we didn't create any additional problems for them. So in a case like this, how it would identify who's going to be the spokesperson in dealing with hurricanes and these types of situations. If it's a police matter, that person more than likely he would identify as the police chief. But they need to get trained in media in terms of how to respond, and that person is responsible for communicating out. So you don't have multiple people within the city sending out different types of communication, because that's normally where a lot of the conflicts come. So that might be something you might want to consider in the recommendations that Councilman Millens asked you to write up.
I just want to echo what Ms. Elaine was saying as well. I'm sorry, I'll just say one quick thing. She wants a different way of communication. We have 3 or 4 different ways now. We need to use them all. When we get information out, they need to go to every one of them.
Mayor and council, the information that I sent out went out on the city website. It went on Facebook. It went to all of our traditional media partners, all the TV stations, all the radio stations, all the newspapers. It went on the Facebook pages. It went through the email and text services that the VRA has and the C-Click Fix. So we sent the same message through all of those channels as technology allowed. There was a period during the storm that I could not post to the website. I spent 2 hours on the phone with the website people trying to get it to work at one point. So at some point, the website was not necessarily as updated as those other methods. But I did get those emails out, and if I couldn't email something out to the press, I texted it to them, because I've got their contact information as far as Tanya Brown, PB 13, etc., so that it could get to people when internet service wasn't available.
Let me ask you a question. Since you mentioned Tanya Brown, this don't have anything directly, but I was told today about, it was on the news, that she was out watching the kitchen storm and stuff, so she looked down and saw a moccasin. Did anybody see that?
Just saw the snake.
Saw the snake. You saw that? Said when the snake was in the water, she hollered. She said, "Get up out of there." Said she glad she saw the snake before the snake saw her. I know it. And all that water and the fish.
And they trying so hard.
Everything.
They so upset with it.
Everything is coming up.
I'm sure the snake saw her, but he ain't had time for it. Okay, let's go. Where you going? Let's go.
Next is a city manager council professional code of conduct discussion. Something we alluded to under number 4 was we had council members and staff that got rather heated during this hurricane coverage. And we maybe need to put something in place that governs our professional code of conduct that we would agree to abide by. I know that it was a stressful time for everybody, but we need to be at some type of basic agreement that there's a social contract by the positions that we hold ourselves to a higher level than how we conducted ourselves during this storm. I can't think of any other way to say that.
Amen.
Y'all all right with that?
Yeah.
I mean, people expect more of us.
6.
Comprehensive plan needs updating. Lisa, I'm going to hand this off to you. Was it Mr. Millie that mentioned it first? Would you mention it in like the planning or something?
I've mentioned it before that it's that time.
Yeah.
The comprehensive plan for the cities as set up in state law for us to have zoning, essentially, is that we have to have a comprehensive plan. It has 9 pieces and they frequently have to be updated, so many pieces every 5 years. Every 10 years, we have to update the whole thing. And I put together a request for proposals to get some cost estimates, but I hadn't put that out there yet.
Isn't there a component of it that goes to the planning commission first?
Yeah, it goes through, the planning commission will get, once you put it out, you get a contractor or somebody that will develop the full plan. Last time it was what was that company? I can't think of the name now because it's Vismore and Associates did the full plan.
How many years has that been? It hasn't been 10.
2007.
Well, but Vismore did an update for us in 2012 or 2013.
Right, there was an update, but the full thing needs to be redone. Because we're hitting that 10 years. The consultant or Vismore or whoever we get to do the plan actually writes it, they present it, and it goes through the planning commission. So the planning commission would officially host all these public hearings to get information and things like that. Then they would approve it, send it to y'all, and then y'all would have to pass it through.
Are you even familiar, just kept speaking to council now, are you familiar with what we're talking about? Have you seen this document? Yeah. The old document? Has everybody seen it? I'm getting some looks like...
What are we talking about?
I haven't seen it, but I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish.
No. Elaine looks confused too.
Not confused, but just aware of that thought. And maybe this is not the place to say it, because I thought that you and I done talked about this and the comprehensive plan that I thought we were talking about it. That's what, well, it's not, yeah, I guess I shouldn't.
Well,
we'll deal with it another
over
time.
the years,
that's why you see this.
Especially after the death of Phil Goff, I spoke with Ms. Latham about us helping us develop your components of this. And especially the housing model and the population model. Now, given what's happened the last few months, I don't know how y'all want to proceed. But it's something that we have to do. We have to do, the state law says we have to update this. We have to include it as part of our planning document. We have to submit it for approval to the planning commission. We have to have public hearings on it. And my feeling is that we work on this to where y'all feel comfortable with something that we're going to put out.
Right. So do we? Okay, don't get.
But this.
Okay, I want to know what that's what the look is. What changed? I don't understand. You know what changed?
Then you have to update it every 10 years.
I know, but I thought that's what we were working on. Start working on it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, like I said, there's been different components of it that over the years, starting in 2014, that Ms. Latham had been updating some of the grant work we've been doing.
Well, that's what I was saying. So
there's been no formal proposal that's been put together that would be put out to bid.
Exactly. However that is. But you are indicating that something has happened to stop you from going both of them.
No. I just said what's happened the last few months where we used to just say, okay, so-and-so do this. And y'all would say, vote on it and say, okay, well, when we had this brought up about the RIA grant application in July, and then we went through that whole situation, I'm just saying things may be different now because of what happened over the summer. That's all I'm mentioning. So
And see, and I'm looking at it, I don't see what one has to do with the other.
What would make it different?
That's the
I
part.
understand how we have.
What I would tell you what I'd like to see. We obviously see that there is some economic development, downtown development going on in Hartsville. We have been invited tomorrow to go to Sumter, so obviously something is going on there.
Yeah.
My understanding, whether I'm correct or not, I don't know, but my understanding is that Hartsville has somebody who is a professional in trying to make determinations about what can be done to help small communities.
Yes.
Our last economic development plan said something like, you need to annex because the city itself is too small.
Right.
Well, that doesn't tell us anything. We all know we need to annex. You need more economic development downtown. Well, sure, anybody can see that. What we need is some consulting group that has the expertise to come in and not only say you need, but this is how you get it.
Yeah.
And we may have to spend 20,000, 25, I don't know. But I would like for us to start checking around and seeing who is competent, who has come up with good plans for cities similarly situated like us, find out what it costs. So not only did they give us bullet points, but they also give us action plans on how we can implement these things, because quite frankly, I'm not smart enough to necessarily go out and say, I can implement economic development in downtown Darlington by doing thus and such. I am smart enough, as we all are, to see that we are significantly devoid of any economic development taking place now. But I think we need some professionals to come in and say, this is what I would suggest for you in your situation, and this is how I would suggest we go about doing it. That person's going to have staff help. I mean, staff will have to help them get the information to them. I just want to see us get something that we don't put on a shelf, but something that we can pull off that shelf and go out and get.
Let me say this. Mr. Garland, you were not here then, but there was a comprehensive plan done. I think it paid about $25,000 or $50,000 for it. Do you know where that plan is? It talked about downtown. It talked about economic development of downtown, what we could do to revive downtown. It was put on the shelf and never used. That was money wasted. We don't need to do that. So what I would suggest, if you can find that one, let's look at that one first to see whether there be any difference in it. Because they talked about little niches downtown.
There's been half a dozen plans that have been done.
I know it, and we don't use them.
Whether it was Bismore or Latham.
No, what, it was further back than that, the one we paid before we never got here. The one we had $50,000 for it.
Well, let me ask you about it. Well, this is a rumor that made me laugh. That we paid for somebody to do a comprehensive plan. We didn't take it, and they went to another city.
Virginia.
Doing real good with it.
What happened was this.
But I
wish I had the article.
I'm not familiar with that.
Well, I wish I had the article. I read it. I should have made a copy of it. But what happened with this? There was a comprehensive plan that was done before long time ago about downtown. We saw downtown suffering at the Bell Snap, right? Anyway, there was a man. You probably read it. I don't know if you read it or not. But there was a man that lived in Virginia from this area. He wrote a story and he posted in the news and press. And he thanked Darlington for their comprehensive plan. It worked in this little small area in Virginia. But that was a plan that we never used.
So that is real.
Oh, that's true. Because I read it.
$50,000 plan stuff?
Yeah.
Is that the one from the 80s? Once he married Demetrius had one done in 1987 or 88.
Well, it could be. Yeah, that's probably the one. But it was a good
But there was
plan.
another one that Ben Boozer did in 99.
Might be, but it was a plan that we didn't use.
This is not the same thing. What we're talking about here is the actual state law that says you have to have a comprehensive plan. This is not the same thing as doing a downtown development. This, it's apples to oranges.
Okay.
It specifically targets transportation,
Okay, that one.
population,
That one.
housing.
That's what I was talking about that Ms. Lathan and I had been working on over the last.
Well, evidently, it seemed like the guy over in the one for Hartsville seemed like that was an effective, comprehensive plan. Why haven't we reached out to
The plan is tailored specifically to our population numbers and census information and those sorts of things. It's not everything you can copy.
Well, I know, I'm not saying copying, but why aren't we reaching out for information as, I mean, we said we don't know who we can find to do a comprehensive plan for us. Somebody said that earlier.
I'd like to see that.
So why not we,
Mr. Dollar give you a copy of the one that we already have from that company. I don't think we have one since y'all were here.
So you understand the different components of what we're
Right.
talking about. That's important, I think.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna echo the same thing Judge Millen said and Councilwoman Bruce. The Hartsville guy that they use for their comprehensive plan is the same guy that did the Zion development in Mount Pleasant, and it's a kind of an inclusive community, very new and just has been thriving. They've won all kind of competition because of it. So if that guy will give us the opportunity. He seems to have a pretty successful track record with the two different ones that I'm familiar with personally, being Hartsville and Mount Pleasant.
So that isn't that what Mr. Garland just said? You just said that you and Ms. Lathan is working on a comprehensive plan, or was working on,
Well, but we haven't looked at it in probably 18 or 20 months. We stuck it down in 2017 sometime and agreed to go back and look at it at a later date, but it's not been looked at during that time. Since July, well, whatever the time was, there's been one thing after another, one thing after another, one thing after another. And it's got to be done, but there's something more important that needs to be talked about next, and that's the stormwater project update.
okay, so, but if you already got one, if y'all already got one that y'all working on, or it's already in motion, why not complete it if it's already in motion?
Well, the information that she was putting together was updates for our housing, was updates for our population. That's the same thing.
Right.
That's the work that we had engaged her to do. And it's just that that work was never done, and it was never presented in any formal way. It was just more or less to help us with grant applications, and eventually it would be included as part of a comprehensive plan.
Okay.
But we have not looked at that in quite a while.
Then if you already got it in motion, should you continue with it, or I don't understand?
I think we need to find a Dan Vismore or somebody that does.
Dan Vismore is,
I know he's done.
he's gone.
I know, but somebody, I said somebody like that.
Urban
well, you
engineering.
gotta prove it.
I don't think urban engineering does comprehensive
The
plan.
Hartsville
Yeah.
guy, he's had successes that we know of 2 different areas in South Carolina. One of them literally directly beside us. So he seems to have an expertise on the subject. But an urban engineering is what we need. I mean, we have lost 10% of our population for the last 10 years, and then before that another 10. So we're in a very dangerous downturn.
So,
Not sustainable.
Okay, so what you're saying now, that whatever you all were working on, that you're gonna start new. We get the new plan, at least you doing that.
We would be hiring, we would be getting this out, so Ms. Lathan could certainly apply, I would think. But now, all of this information, no matter who we get to do the actual writing of the comprehensive plan, they're going to have to talk with staff and get numbers and data from staff members that we've already collected.
That you've already collected.
Well, how far did you get on the one with Ms. Lathan? How many pages? I mean, about 12 pages.
I don't see point in stopping what you already got in motion to start over again.
And then, I mean, whatever you're doing, whatever is gathering information to present to other people, right? Is that?
This is not policy, it's numbers, it's trends. As someone was talking about, if you look at population trends, let's say the comprehensive plan for 1980 would show us having a population of 10,000 in 2020. That would be one trend. Well, the comprehensive plan for 2018, what's that going to show for 2035 when we're 200 years old? And I'm talking about the town will be 200 years old. But that's the type of planning, that's the type of document that you need. Now, if you want something else, then I know somebody was talking about the downtown development document, but it's not the same thing.
Right. No, but I said that I should pull that one. See, can you find that old that we have? I know they're two different things.
Well, I understand that.
That would kind of fit.
But it needs to be understood if you're doing a downtown development strategy or one for the bypass, this is
it's different.
It's not the same thing.
No.
Right, so right now, we're under a state obligation to be able to put a comprehensive plan that is specific to transportation, population, and whatever, some other things that you said. And that is, we need to start with it. You and Ms. Latham, we're working on one. But now, you want to, because of whatever went on in July or whatever, you're saying you want to
I just opened that up for y'all to talk about.
No, okay.
I think we should continue on with it since you don't start.
Let's move on.
I got a problem with that. Based on what's happened over the last year and a half or so, I don't see how the city can continue working with a vendor, an employee, an associate, whatever we would call it, that's threatened to sue us 3 times over issues that she was not really happy about. And I don't know how we can continue going forward with that.
May I ask for a point of clarification? What vendor are you talking about specifically?
Ms. Latham.
That is not true. That is not factual.
Well, let's state the fact. You asked to get sued, but what you did was illegal. The way you voted, the way you allowed that vote to go down, you deserve to get sued. Because that was completely wrong.
What were you talking about?
Oh, now you don't know.
Okay, well, let's go on. What I want to say is, when the threat, we have been threatened so many times to be sued by so many people, why are we pointing her out?
Let's decide what we want to do. We got 2 plans. We got an economic development plan that we might want to consider to see if we can find some way to increase our population when we turn 200 years old in the city. And then it seems that we have another plan that is just kind of a boilerplate stuff that I don't know how much benefit do you and staff as a city get from that comprehensive plan that we are required to prepare.
It helps us with grant applications because the information is there. You pull it out, you cut and paste and put it in the grant application. It's a great assistance to the grant writer because you don't have to go hunting for that resource.
Right.
It's all there.
And you need that for the grants.
And we have not done a good job. Matter of fact, we've fallen short of the mark of this work. And that's just the way it is. We need to talk about the stormwater project.
One little statement, and then we just get this off, because John, when I feel like you're saying that we are actually discriminating because we are being threatened to be sued.
I didn't say discriminating.
No, but you're saying you don't feel like we should deal with a vendor that has threatened to sue us.
With you?
What I'm saying, as a government, we don't have that. We really don't have that. That's because we are elected. We're a government organization. I mean, we're a city. I don't see where we could just blanket say that we cannot deal with a vendor because they threaten to sue us. And if that's not written somewhere, because there are several people that I know have threatened to sue this city, and we still are dealing with them.
And it's not
And I don't want us to set that kind of precedent.
The statement was made in council meeting one night after Brian had cleaned up the railroad bed over there behind the county library.
Yeah.
Make a comment that she would sue the city if that ditch eroded. She would sue the city and Bryant if that ditch eroded.
Who made that comment?
You did. You did it.
Well, is there a lawsuit out there?
No, she threatened. She
There's a
threatened
What
to sue.
council, what meeting that was in? 'Cause I wanna read that.
Threat.
What council
City
meeting was
council
that in?
meeting. City council meeting.
Which one? Because I want to read for myself.
So there's an intent from Lathan Consulting Company to sue the city of Darlington? Is that out there?
She made
There
that
is an
statement. She
intent.
made that
Is there
statement.
something in writing with
That's
that?
an accusation. I want to read it for myself
There's
and
a such
yes.
thing called slander.
Because that's slam, that's proven. I want to read that.
We don't want to talk about slam.
That's the same thing with that thing with Gerald Malloy came up. What happened? Gerald Malloy had to come in straight.
But we
Same
can't
thing.
talk about
Keep on
that.
subject,
Same
please.
thing.
No, the question I asked,
Accusations.
Is there
Is there-
a lawyer written us about a lawsuit?
is there an intent out there from Lathan
We have a
Consulting?
letter from Wakila Law Firm protesting bid process for the RIA grant.
From who? Who do they represent?
I can answer, it's Wakila Law Firm said something, didn't mention a
So
suit.
that's what you
Who
got
does
right
it
there?
represent?
Miss Lathan, but it was just asking about the procurement process. They were trying to get further answers on it. It was from Patrick McLaughlin at Wakila Law Firm.
So that's,
Let's go to item number 7.
Well,
no, I mean, don't sweep it under the rug. I mean, if somebody brings something up, she's sitting in the room.
Right.
I mean, if you're making accusations, you gotta have facts behind it. So you got a letter there, and the letter just asking for information. What is the letter?
I don't have it with me. It was
We got the letter that
addressing.
It's no letter.
It was included in your city manager update, whatever month that happened.
From Wakula's law firm?
Wakila Law Firm, yes, ma'am.
Wakila, what his name is?
I want to know what council meeting said. I want to read that. That was the one when I think, I don't know whether, when we talk about the land that behind the lodge when.
Winter 2017 is the best I can tell you.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
that's been a while too. Yeah.
The 2017.
Oh, I remember it, but I don't remember.
I mean, I can't tell you the specific date.
I'll read them all till I find it.
What I know the name. I'm talking about
He said,
the attorney that came and represented that.
okay,
Our minutes are not verbatim. I'm just saying, you say that.
And that's why we now are keeping record of the awful record. Now, your attorney.
word to word, in writing, when they
Thank you,
say.
ma'am.
That's just he say, she say.
Well, so can we move on to number
That was
7?
just a little.
I've got a dog that's been engaged for 9
One of
hours
those
a day.
things that was mentioned in an interpretation of whether or not the end of the.
Everybody did it one time.
That's go smell at somebody, that's not right.
And look, I just, because my
Just because you
my
blame
thing
who, you
is, I
just go smell at them, that's not right.
I just don't want this council, that's all I'm saying, set a
And that's work on
precedent
both
like that.
sides.
What I'm saying, is, you know, and not just because you having problems with whatever, because it's with Lakeland, you're setting a precedent. And I know folk have threatened to sue this city, and we still doing business with them. Even during that time about these easements. And we still do it easement. I went around everywhere. I got all kind of threats. And one of our big business entrepreneurs that's in my area has threatened because of the services that he's been receiving.
He's a vendor for the city. He does work for the city.
He does business with the city, he works for the city.
No,
He bids for
no,
the city.
no,
No.
The city's paid him
No, no.
checks for doing work for the city.
no, not at all, not that. I'm separate.
Well, see, he's not a vendor, he's not
He's
a.
not a vendor, he's a business person. He's one of our, trying to get in here now, more business.
Number 7. Okay, this is Southwest Darlington project. The contractor submitted a traffic plan for West Broad Street, which is the next work area, last Thursday. DOT put out, ACDOT put out a blanket stop on all working on right-of-ways during the hurricane, which was just lifted today. So with the plan being submitted by Lansdowne, that's the contractor for this project, not being submitted until last Thursday, DOT is not going to give them permission to work in West Broad Street until, it's been told to me, until they finish the concrete asphalt work on Pearl Street. And y'all know how bad that looks. They need to do that work on Pearl Street, and they've been asked to do it and have not done that work yet. The contractor also submitted a new work schedule for completion date yesterday, which he shows completion date of January 2019, which is unacceptable also. We've had multiple issues with the contractor. There's been some issues on our side too, but in my opinion, mostly with the contractor. The contractor submitted multiple change orders. Some of those change orders total over $70,000, and it just happened to be close to the amount of money which we saved on Fleming Street, which is around $70,000. Now, the thing that we have to weigh here is that we had delays on Pearl Street. We had delays because of the Southern 500. We've had delays because of Hurricane Florence. We've had delays because of when they actually got in the ground working on Pearl Street, there were water lines that were not identified in the plans that Hannah Engineering submitted. So there is going to be some type of extension given the Lansdowne, because right now they have to be finished with the work by October 8th. And and there's no way they're going to be
This
finished.
year?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. But,
If it rains this week, that will stop them again.
well, sure. But they're not working right now.
Huh?
DOT's not letting them work on West Broad Street.
Right, see,
Until they fix Pearl Street.
Until they fix Pearl.
no, Pearl Street is done. They just won't let them, they would continue on Broad Street, but DOT said no. But they,
They haven't finished their work on Pearl.
See, that's not our problem.
what I don't see.
I talked to the president of the construction
Yeah, but that's
company
not- you told me,
today.
right. Okay.
And everything that Howard has said is correct. I sent DOT Trip an email late this afternoon asking for a specific date in which DOT would release the constraint that they have. So we expect to have an answer back from DOT on that tomorrow. But because of the stoppage, I talked to him last week, and he's moving on before the end so that he doesn't lose any more time. I've also forwarded an email probably late to you this afternoon, Howard, and what we need to do, and I've asked him to follow up with another email to schedule a meeting with the engineer so they can sit down face to face and get these work orders resolved. So hopefully we should have that. But we did submit today the final pay for rent. So we are making some progress, but Howard is right. I don't think we're going to end up approving this extension based on the schedule. There's a lot of slight time in there, and there's a lot of progression that they can do.
Let me ask you, what I'm going to do, what is it that they would be required to do on Pearl Street?
That road is like a temporary patch.
Right, I understand.
DOT.
So they talk about the paving.
Yeah, the
Oh.
paving.
And the curbs too. They haven't done the curbs back.
I know, but that is the construction supposed to do all of that.
Yes.
Yes.
Because see, when okay.
So it's not
Does he
only
say-
is it a state road, but it's a major corridor.
Oh, it's no
So
question.
you
When I
have
talked to the
so the
DOT
design, I mean,
people that came over there, they just
all
said,
kind of drainage structures and getting all of that approved. That was not on their standard approval list because of the type of road it is. So they are obligated, as they should, to call the shot. So I sent an email, like I said, over the trip to DOT. So hopefully tomorrow he'll let us know when they can start work on it.
right, and this is not this, it's just that I'm just going to explain as to how I even got to that, because what we did on Syracuse and Tallulah Street did not meet DOT thing, but they let it go So that's why I was out there even talking with them, looking at it, as to stop them from going further until they get this straight, because we didn't meet their standards on neither one of those streets.
Right, I think there may be
But they
different
allow it.
calls. I think that they may be
So I
making
get-
different
I
calls
just
because
get,
in
I
one
don't want
case,
them to stop the project.
Who's overseeing the day-to-day operation of that? I mean, how they just make decision on how they gonna change the,
Well,
because they own the road.
DOT can, yes, DOT owns the road, they can stop it
so I
like
mean, so
that.
we got no leeway on any of that.
Well, we call to them, we've already developed working relationships, we tell them what our schedule is. If they understand it's having a significant impact, they do what they can
When they want to.
Well,
No, it's not when they want to. I mean, we've had good working relationships with South Carolina Department of Transportation. It's us telling our story in an acceptable and realistic way so they understand it's having a significant adverse impact on the project. That gives them the wherewithal to see what they can do to approve us closing down Broad Street sooner rather than later. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, let me ask this question. Why, have the question been asked, why would they leave that area unfinished with that big patch of cement or whatever that's there and go somewhere else? Why would that area be completed before we go?
Because that's not how it works. I mean, it should not have been left in the initial condition, right?
Exactly.
It should have been better than it was. So they've come back and they've left it in a condition that was acceptable to DOT. And so DOT says, look, you gotta improve this because it's too much of a bump. They went back and improved it. And if DOT tells us to do anything else, because it's a DOT road, it's a state-owned road, then we, in this case, the contractor, the city manager is gonna make sure he does it, because he's ultimately the grantee under this grant.
Well, the only thing I'm saying about DOT, and I'm really with somebody to put some pressure, I know, I can understand closing down whatever streets they think, but the closed Broad Street is not gonna cause no problem.
Well, the thing is, Lansdowne should have submitted the traffic control plan even before the project started.
So the delinquency is on them.
Yes. For
But
them
they
to submit that on the Thursday when DOT's still in the middle of hurricane cleanup and expect an approval the next day or even this week is just unreasonable.
So they didn't do it because they were supposed to finish Pearl Street. They're supposed to, I don't understand.
What is the construction company's reason why they haven't finished Pearl Street?
This is what they told us at one time, is that they wanted to do all their asphalt work at one time. And that would be West Broad Street, that would be Washington Street, and Pearl Street at one time. The DOT did not like that answer at all. And we literally had to twist both of their arms, the contractor's arms behind their back to get them to do the work that they did on Pearl Street before the Southern 500. They were not going to do it. There's an extreme level of frustration in dealing with this company.
Don't write any more checks until they're fixed.
Good, that's what you need to do.
Because I got a lot of telephone calls about the parade because the parents were scared the kids were going to fall because they know it's a dip down there, you know. So they didn't want that to be a problem, somebody trying to sue the city.
The engineer said today they wanted to submit a change order for work on Anhal and Coker Street's totaling $100,000.
What now?
I said,
You hear what God was saying?
the engineer said today on the phone that he had anticipated a change order of $100,000 from Lansdowne for the work on Anhal and Coker Streets. And he was going to suggest something where we go in and do a prescriptive easement. He was going to have to get up, that may not be the right term, but he was going to suggest that we get up with our city attorney to go and work on the current storm drain infrastructure that exists on that property. There was one easement that we did not get. It was at the corner of Coker and Anhal from the fellow that owns Daddy's Auto Center. So the change order that They were talking, and I haven't seen it yet, but he said it will be submitted in the next few days. We can't afford that type of change order based on the slim margins that we have on the project.
Exactly.
So we can't come on out. Is that what you're trying to tell the part where we said we was
Well,
coming
that's
out?
the email that I sent, so they don't think the contract is submitted to
I don't
the
wanna interrupt
engineer,
anybody.
everything in writing. So there's a meeting being scheduled as we
okay.
speak to address that.
Right,
Okay, all right.
right.
The easement issue, do we have a go around?
Well, we own both the streets, so we can go in the street.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was the solution to that, but
Right.
the contractor's saying that the cost to do that is, in their estimation, $100,000. Now, the engineer is like, no, because you've already put it in, you've already bid this into the price of the project to get this done. But it's just an example. Here's something else we didn't mention too. The contractor is worried about being fined per day. Because there's a $500 fine per day.
$500 per day.
Yeah, they're gonna be, we're gonna give an extension. And that extension is gonna be 3 or 4 weeks just because of the hurricane, the race,
And
the
DOT.
Pearl Street DOT. So they're gonna get, you're probably looking at first or second week in November that they'll be given to. But the construction estimate that they've submitted is January 2019. So if you go by damages based on $500 a day, in my opinion, they're pumping in all these change orders to try to make it balance out in some way.
Yeah. We got to be honest.
But as Ms. Layson said, he bid the project, he had the plans, he bid the project.
That's right.
Why do we have such large change orders?
Some contractors do it, just like Howard gave the example. We ended up saving about $70,000, okay, with some of the changes that we did in and around crossing Pearl Street. Now, change orders was required. It could be coincidental that his change orders came back at $70,000. It could be, it could not be. But what the engineers are required to do, your grant manager is required to do, and your city manager is required to do, is to scrub every one of those change orders. And if the dollars and the quantities and the size doesn't add up, it doesn't get approved. So they've already shot that one back to him. Now, if they come up with this other one for $100,000, this is an easy shoot back, because like you said, John, and Howard said, it's already in the contract, they done bid it. You can't come back and give us a change order on something that you already gave us a price on, and it's in your contractual price. That just doesn't happen. So these are the kind of things we're constantly managing, day to day, week by week. So don't worry, he won't pay.
I'm in the wrong business, because whenever I bid a project, I gotta do it with what
Bid it
the
for
dollar
right.
I bid it for.
Right.
If I messed up, they
You
get
messed up.
Yeah,
It's your loss.
I just had to go grab
I know it's more fair.
So there are valid reasons to have change orders, and they can increase or decrease the amount of the contract.
But because they're experienced in doing these kind of projects, when they bid the project, they should have a little fat in there.
Exactly.
We shouldn't have to eat.
We're not going to be not related consultant,
I think that's all I've got.
But may I say one more thing? With all them pipes I see out there, anywhere in the world they can finish all them pipes. By November, what, first week in November? I love pipes. This way, that way, anywhere I look, them ready to go pipes.
They got them on
Well, they signed contracts in March. Mine had all that time to start working, they didn't start.
I would like to motion to adjourn. Y'all
I
would
have
have
one thing I'd like to do.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I would motion.
Everybody sit.
Just as we've been talking, and I can give these to Howard if you want me to, but it seems to me that we've talked about we would like to have Howard make contact with the DOT and try to work with them on fixing some of their drainage problems with their streets so that we can have more success with what we do. It seems like we would like to have Howard find out what software systems are available and what the cost would be for tracking and mapping our water and sewer system. We would like for him to at least explore a staff engineer, perhaps find out who are the cities that are close to us that have an engineer on staff, what size of these cities, what kind of budgets are needed to have such a person on staff. what size general budget do these cities have? HR. You know, who has an HR department? What are the costs of operating an HR?
Hartsville has one because I checked with them.
And what's the cost on operating an HR department? How many people would you probably need to staff an HR department? Write up his recommendations with respect to the code of conduct and any other recommendations he has, and send them to us for us to review. We talked about job description. I think perhaps one of the first places to start would be Howard to give us his view of what his job description is, for us to look at that and evaluate it, so we got some idea what Howard thinks he's supposed to be doing. We've got to go forward with this comprehensive plan, but I'd also like for us to do something in connection with seeing what other towns are doing with respect to an economic development type plan, how to develop downtown, because things have changed so much in marketing over the last 10 years, and how it's done, what we might do to develop the bypass. My son-in-law was in real estate, and he was having a conversation with, I think, Natalie Ziegler, and she was talking about the count that we have on our bypass far exceeds the count of people that they have on their bypass. So these are just some things that I would like for us to look forward to doing. And give Howard some reasonable time, and I'll have to look to him for that as to whether it's 60 days to get these types of things answered. I don't know whether that gives you enough time, too much time, but just in a reasonable time frame, have this stuff back to us so we can say, well, we got to scratch that. Software costs $600,000. That's something we'd like to have. We got to figure out another way to do it.
Now, when you say software, you talking about the water department, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or any other department that might benefit from it.
See, let's don't limit ourselves.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got one more thing I do want to bring up, and I brought it up when I first got on council, and I want to bring it up again, because that vac truck doesn't benefit the citizens of Joe Louis Boulevard. There is no catch basins off Joe Louis Boulevard. We have ditches. And I think those ditches haven't been cleaned out since the city put them in. So I think it's time for those ditches to be cleaned out for those citizens on that side of town. Because there is no catch basin, there's nothing over there.
I think the way things were done, I think I'm trying to think, there may be some piping in Midas subdivision of Oakdale, but most of the water that's drained out of Oakdale is drained through open ditches. So I don't
They haven't been cleaned out.
So each person does it own. I think a lot of the country club has got.
If you look at, you know how there's kind of like when you turn to the country club, you can take that first left at the tennis court. And there's two other streets run parallel. All those three streets run to the bottom of Country Club Hill, which is right before my father's house. If you know where his house is, and that pipe right there, it's 10 or 15 feet, and then it's into the swamp. But it's blocked up there, so the road, Country Club Road, turns into a river.
These ditches are 8 feet deep. Those citizens can clean those 8 feet down.
Yeah.
Our community service.
Before we adjourn, there was something that's been mentioned a couple times with the grievance committee. I just want to make sure I think we have one person from each department. Is that correct? One person elected from each department. Just want to touch base with whoever our elected officials are from the departments, and just make sure they're able to get together. If council would like, I mean, maybe they should get together just to kind of have what's their wish list? What do they have an interest in? What gripes they're hearing? I'm not saying to bring the grievance committee together, but I would definitely like to make sure all the members who are supposed to be on the grievance committee are still there to be put into action. I think that would help the comfort of some of our fellow council persons.
You know, the staff members, the staff employees know that the grievance committee back in place.
Well, we've had, since it was put in place in December 2017, I think 3 have left or moved on to employment.
So we need to hire,
it needs to be updated.
Okay.
I think Josh Williamson was on it, and that's what we're looking
There's a executive session item we're gonna need to discuss next Tuesday, but we're going to Sumter tomorrow, so formally we have to discuss it there too. That would be good for me when we're in the van tomorrow, and then something else.
I won't be able to attend.
Where we meeting? You said
Uh,
it's at
and-
10 o'clock.
We're going on the county bus. I'm driving the bus.
We're going to vote.
That he is.
Everybody in a white limousine, but I was told.
I'm going to my car.
It's like a
We riding in a limo.
Man,
What time we?
Todd don't sound too high.
10:50 in the
What
morning.
time we planning to be back here?
I want to leave by 1:30, so it gives an hour.
Just be happy you're not in this other,
And not gonna leave until what?
I gotta be back.
Coming back.
I'll be back. Oh.
We'll be back by 3.
Oh, sure, I would think so. I don't,
Well, I gotta meet
but see, Todd planned this whole thing. I don't know much about it. He just told me he went over there to eat one night. He really liked to look at their downtown. So
It's very
that's
nice.
what all this is.
That's one of the things about somebody who does economic development is they also have the capacity to know how to tell us it could be funded. Whether it's
They were recognized,
partnership or.
the city of Sumter was recognized at these meetings.
Yes,
They
they
did,
were recognized.
their downtown.
They left their core
the parking lot.
downtown.
Yes, and that's what we have to do. That's where our focus gotta be, to keep ours down.
I know we need a new administrative bill. I wish someone could get it, so how we need to be with us. When I say us, I mean the other employees. That's extra money staying down there. That's a cold building down there. Everybody needs to be together. I make a motion that we adjourn. All in favor? Yeah. Please.
I'm sorry, nice to